Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey.
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next up is the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office personnel request. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the request from the Sheriff's Office to convert 4 corrections deputy positions to 1 jail intake supervisor, 2 clerk 3 positions, and 1 corrections sergeant at a net cost increase. Wow, a grand total of $3,166.42. I think you win the award for the most job changes for the least amount of money.
We're winners over there, I tell you. Well, the undersheriff spent a lot of time.
Let me get my support real
So
quick.
moved, yeah.
All right,
Can't.
there we go. All right.
Yeah, the undersheriff spent quite a bit of time trying to make this as close to revenue neutral as possible. Through the course of our strategic planning process, some employee engagement surveys and some anecdotal evidence and some problems that we were having, we noticed a significant opportunity for us to improve our operations. And so we went through trying to address that. And in doing so, we took some positions that we've historically been unable to fill just because jail staffing right now is still a need. But without these positions, we'd still be able to operate safely and efficiently, but convert these into more civilian specialist positions because they'd be easier for us to fill in finding people, but also it would give us some continuity. Currently, these duties are being held by corrections deputies, the type of corrections deputies that become good at this then necessarily, or don't necessarily, but generally want more, and they are usually qualified for it. So you see them move into jail transport, corrections, and court services and supervision. So as soon as they get good at it, they move on. There's also been some system changes within computer programs that when implemented broke some of our backups. A court program moved away from AS400. We moved away from AS400, and a lot of the fail safes that we had to make sure that that information was getting transmitted and acted upon accurately had been broken, and has led to some issues that we've had. And so this would allow us to have some civilians that's their only job and their main job to work through that process. And so we feel it'll limit some liabilities that we currently have, and also deal with some succession issues we have within corrections as well, or I'm sorry, within records as well, by adding that supervisor spot. It's a spot between clerk 3 and office manager, which we have a couple of. So it allows us to kind of develop some people as well. It also deals with some unit cohesion issues with our civilian staff at the jail by adding a couple more people and having them have a supervisor so that they can have their own identity and their own shared mission. So altogether, we would appreciate the ability to make these moves.
Just a quick question. By any chance, are you aware, did any of these individuals, looks like they're moving into more leadership roles, did any of them participate in the leadership training that the county put on?
So because this hasn't been approved, we haven't put it out yet. So these clerk 3 positions are kind of the civilian equivalent to court services or detective on the law enforcement side. It's kind of like a half step, but it's not supervision. The court or the intake supervisor is that kind of more of a sergeant level civilian. But because we haven't gotten approval yet, we haven't put it out to see who's really interested. But we'll have to see what that looks like. And honestly, when we look at our uniform promotions, those emerging leaders, I think is what you're talking about, probably. That emerging leaders or similar leadership training is considered when we do promote in the professional standards review of their file. So.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Sounds good to me. Rachel?
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Mr. Bruger.
Yes.
Mrs. Medema.
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey.
Yes.
Mr. Moss.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. Number 4 is the Treasurer and Water Resources Commissioner wage correction. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the resolution accepting the Officers Compensation Commission determination to increase the salary for the County Treasurer and Water Resources Commissioner to equal the base pay of the County Clerk/Register effective immediately.
So moved.
Support.
Oh, we have, is it Pat that wanted to speak? I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you pointing at somebody? Oh, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, so I
am interested in maybe why this came up now, but I just had one comment. I fully support the change that is mentioned here. I believe the reason why it was not done prior is related to a technicality, and that the meeting where this was determined was outside the 45-day window where that commission was supposed to meet. So I just want to mention, like, I remember this, I've seen this before. I support the idea fully. But I believe it was not done prior because of the meeting dates. So that's my only comment.
But as I read the chair's declaration, he's kind of saying the opposite, that it was done within the window. It just wasn't documented. And I was not in that room. So maybe we can kind of speak to the,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had this that's been lingering for a while, and, you know, I want to do right by, you know, the treasurer and the
I kind of categorize this as a housekeeping corrective action. So,
Okay.
As the memo stated that I wrote, in 2024, the Officers Compensation Commission actually met 5 times, but they only met 4 times within the required 45-day period. And it was in that 5th meeting that they actually documented the decision that had been made in the prior meetings. And that's what we really dug into to see when was that decision made to make the salary adjustment correct. It was an inadvertent oversight that they didn't include that they made 2 percentage increases, a 6% increase and an 8% increase. That increase was based on the assumption of the decision being made that they were going to correct the base salaries. And we dug into that and verified that after talking with both the Water Resources Commissioner, the treasurer, and also the chair at that time. And so legal counsel has opined that the decision only needs to be made within the 45 days. It does not need to be documented. So we see this as a legal corrective measure to make that decision whole and effective.
And for the benefit of the other commissioners that weren't here when this all took place, there were other recommendations made, including the commissioners' pay, that those recommendations were made later.
Well, actually.
These were done earlier, correct?
Actually, they were.
Outside of the
made-
window.
That decision with regard to the commissioner's pay, that was also discussed at that April 11th meeting and voted on. The difference is they did not have the majority of the votes. There was only 4 members there. It's a 6-member committee. You need the 4 votes to make that a decision that carries. And they only had 3 on that decision.
So this piece is in the clear.
This
from our
piece is in
perspective.
the clear,
Okay.
correct.
Commissioner Miedema?
Patrick, were you given information that the prior board received 2 extensive emails from then operating corporation counsel on this very matter?
Yeah,
Did you get a chance to look through both of those emails that were dated May 17? There was also the Officers Compensation Commission minutes from May 23. There was a lot of information and so my concern is that this board now only received the information in this packet that does not include a legal review. There's nothing to give us the mindset of why that opinion now has changed, other than that we now have different corporation counsel.
yeah, so I do have Coleman's legal opinion on this matter, and their opinion is correct. I mean, everything in here is correct. Where it fell short was the difference on the decision needing to be documented. They didn't go that far as to make that interpretation, and that's what is really difference here. The 45-day window, you're correct. It wasn't done in that timeframe, but that's why we dug back into it, just to see, was something missed here? We'd like to make it correct if it's a possibility. And in fact, we do think it's legally possible to do that.
Yeah, I guess I appreciate your thoughts on it. I just, with having corporation counsel, to not have given any form of written, since we did receive a ton back then, like,
I just don't think they were asking the right questions. I don't think they were asking, when was it decided? It was when was it reported? And that's the distinction. And
And are
that-
there meeting minutes to back that up?
Again, I don't know if the meeting minutes reflect that decision, but I think the meeting minutes were pretty sparse. In fact, I don't think there were meeting minutes. Now
Well,
that I
that's what
think
I'm,
about that. I don't think that there were any. And so we're going off of the legal opinion from Coleman at that time, who had conversations with the people on that committee, and the chair at the time, as well as the two elected officials that were in those meetings, advocating that their base pays be made the same. And clearly the answer was yes. That was the interpretation. That was the decision that was made. We failed to document it within 45 days.
That wasn't my understanding. So in this legal opinion, it says that at the April 11, 2024 meeting, that there was a vote 4 yea, 0 nay. And this is how it reads: the prosecutor, sheriff, treasurer, clerk, register of deeds, and water resources commissioner shall have a salary increase of 8% effective January 1, 2025, and a salary increase of 6% effective January 1, 2026. So that is what they voted on, and they didn't vote on the other.
That's correct. They did
So
vote.
what happens though, let's say we all have a discussion, and in discussion, we agree on something, but we don't put it into a vote in a year and a half. Can the next board come back and say, oh, but they discussed it and they all sounded like they agreed with it, but they didn't actually vote on it, but we think they actually really meant this. So therefore now this is what legally stands. I think that's not a thing.
That's why I'm bringing it
So-
to you for the decision. Because,
Right.
Because you're right. It should have been noted in that. But we asked, everyone that I talked to said, this is what the assumption was. The
Did you talk to every person on that? Because
No.
I think that we need to talk to every person on that board, because I'm not fundamentally, in disagreement with them getting this raise, but this needs to be legal, and I'm not convinced that it is. So I personally would really like to have input from all the people who were there.
I understand that. And I mean, we did what we could with the declaration from the chair. I mean, he's signing to the effect that that was what was decided.
I know, he did get some things wrong though, multiple things wrong during the process. So
Mhm.
I would prefer to hear from multiple people.
And I can't speak to what happened with the 45-day, why that wasn't done correctly.
Right.
But
In is why a governing board operates by meeting minutes and why the legal system operates by legal minutes. And so I guess I'm kind of surprised that we're being brought forward this. I too can share that I'm not against, it's not about the actual request about paying extra money. It's about doing it the correct way. And so I am concerned that we are not operating in the correct manner due to not having meeting minutes. We've only heard from Larry on here, and someone can say all they want with the intention, but that doesn't mean that that would have actually come forward in a vote.
well, and we also spoke with the two elected officials who were in the room advocating for that, and that was their recollection as well. So it really is a matter of you determining if that decision was made without a legal document that shows it was. It's an argument that they decided that that was the intent. Unfortunately, it wasn't followed through. So it is a subjective decision.
Which elected officials were at that meeting that were advocating for it?
The it'd be Joe Bush and Cheryl. We're both. in-
Okay, and those are the two that we're looking at.
Right.
I've kind of an interesting question. Can we just avoid the whole issue and just abolish the compensation commission and just set the salaries? Is that possible?
Well, you would find a second there, Joe, so.
I mean, I'm just asking the question because
I
that would
agree
be
that
clean.
long-term, we definitely need to do that.
That'd just be clean. And if we want to do it the absolute cleanest way possible, I would support that. And I was specifically told at the time that the decision to equalize the pay was made May 2. So I'd like to vote yes on this in the end. But I have a conflict between what I was specifically told then and
Could you
what
just
I was
repeat what you said, Joe?
told.
I didn't get a couple things there. I just want to hear
Sure,
exactly what you said.
sure. From the beginning,
No, it might be like 3 sentences ago.
I remember back when we were looking at this issue, I was told that the May 2 meeting, which I don't know who was there. I think I know who was there. I think there were 4 people.
I
Right.
think it was all 6.
Oh, okay. That they went back because they wanted to make sure that they had a vote to equalize the pay for the 3 positions.
That was the sole purpose of the meeting.
Okay, I would think that is accurate, that they went back and they met on May 2 to make sure they had voted on that particular item. And then because May 2 was outside the 45-day window of votes taken, that's why then that wasn't included later. So what I said was, I feel like I have a conflict between the information I'm being told that back then I was told, oh, they did meet and they did vote, they did make a determination May 2.
Mhm.
And I think they actually did. They voted May 2 to make sure that that increase was in there.
They did. That was a vote
Yeah.
on May 2. You're right.
And then I was told at the time, we're very sorry, it's past the 45-day window.
Mhm.
And that's the only reason why that wasn't included.
Yeah, and again, that's the distinction is they recognize that that wasn't included in the resolution that came before you on the April 11th, and they tried to correct that. But the argument or the statement I guess I'm making is they are claiming that that decision was made within the 45-day window, and the law states the decision needs to be made. It doesn't need to be documented within 45 days.
So let me ask a question.
Well,
If-
that's interesting.
I think we're only talking total of $18,000 total, right? All right, so 15 plus 3, right? So, I mean, I understand what Joe's saying. I also understand the information that was given today by the affidavit and statement from the chair and the others, right? So I can support this. So then the question becomes, okay, well, what if it turns out we're wrong? That's what I'm asking. What if it turns out we're wrong? It's an $18,000 issue. How is the county damaged or potentially damaged by making this decision to fund that 18,000, 15,000 for one, 3,000? And I would say that the consequences is immaterial in reality.
Right.
And so from both of those perspectives, right? From a damage calculation or risk exposure and on balance, given what we have in our packet, I can certainly support this.
I think that what's in the balance is integrity. Like, do we believe that this was legal? And maybe different of us have different opinions, but I don't believe that it would be legal to approve this. So while I might, in my heart, agree with giving them more compensation, I don't think that it meets the legal standard.
Commissioner Zalstra.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what Joe and Allison have said here. There was a number of us who were on the commission at the time, and it was a very confusing moment. And I definitely share Joe's ideas about the compensation committee, because I think this is, we see some of the issues with the compensation committee as opposed to just straight up making decisions ourselves. If there were a way, and I'm very supportive of us making this right, if there were a way to do this outside of this, what we're doing right here, I'd be supportive. But if we're going to use this mechanism to do that, I would not be supportive. I think Joe is kind of saying that we want to make this right, but also do this that we're all comfortable, in a way we're all comfortable with. Now, I don't know if there is a way to make that happen outside of this, but if there is, then I'd be supportive. But using this, I would not be supportive of.
Help me with a history on this. How is it that the others got approved, but these two didn't?
It was just the timing of it that I think what happened, and we could ask the other commission members this question. I think that would probably be very helpful. Because if they just all say, oh yeah, we had all decided that and we forgot to put it in the minutes or something, then that's totally different too. But what had happened was they had some meetings and I think that they hadn't finished the conversation about changing those base salaries. And someone called the meeting, might have been Larry, called the meeting for May 2 to make sure they had actually voted on it. Like it made their determination.
But they'd voted on the other,
Right. They did multiple votes. Yeah.
those votes, were they separate or was it like you read, which was a cumulative motion?
I don't know.
It was a cumulative, like there's, in this legal document, there's an outline of 3 votes that were taken that day on April 11 about.
Multiple votes.
Yeah.
Because they had road commission,
Yes.
board,
But,
prosecutor.
but Sylvia, if it's a cumulative motion, that means that the other elected officials that got the increase would have been part of that motion. So how can we exclude these two when the other?
No.
No, what am I missing?
They weren't cumulative.
I'll read it again. So it's prosecutor, sheriff, treasurer, clerk, register of deeds, and water resources commissioner shall have a salary increase of 8%. So it was based on percentages in January 1, 2025, and a salary increase of 6% effective January 1, 2026. So they received that. All of them received that. The difference is that somehow at the end, then there was the thought, or wherever the thought came from, to have the treasurer and the water resources commissioner be bumped up to the same pay level as the clerk. So that's different. So the initial vote on record was for 8% and 6%, which they received. And then the last vote was to make all of their pay the same.
And again, I wasn't in the room, so I'm going off of what I've been told is that 6 and 8% was on the assumption. So prior to that, what I've heard is prior to that, they had the assumption that those base salaries would be corrected, and then the 6 and 8% would be on top of that. They realized that they had not included that in the motion as an oversight, and that's why they rectified it in May.
Were the other elected officials given
No,
their base?
no, it was
adopted?
just bringing the 2 elected
those
officials
two.
in line with another elected official. They thought that those were all comparable base salaries.
Which is what you said, Commissioner.
Right.
Murphy.
Right, it's just a difference of did they decide that before the 8 and 6 or after? And I was told it was before, and they just forgot to include it.
And in my memory, not that my memory's always right, but in my memory, I believe I was told that meeting, that last meeting was because Larry Jackson wanted to increase those 2 positions.
Yeah.
And so at that time, a year and a half ago, I was told something different. And so, what really happened, I wasn't in the room either, but it's not what I was told a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So,
That is my recollection as well. And again, why I think it's important to go by what is
by the
presented.
minutes, yeah.
Is my idea a no-go?
Well, so how?
I have a second, just so everybody knows.
So I think we need to go back and look at the statute because I think there's a specific way of setting up an officer's compensation commission. And then I think there's also perhaps a specific way to dissolve it. And the only way that we can make independent decisions is if we dissolve it. So it probably needs some legal review.
No, I can't answer that right now.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
So
I'd
maybe
vote for yes today, but it doesn't look like that we'd get that. But I do think we
Yeah,
need to look
I-
at that issue. We've talked about this for a year.
I-
Um,
I would actually make a motion to table this so that we can take a look at that.
Take a look at what, Sylvia,
So-
the compensation committee itself?
Yeah, yes. So we can take a look at that. And if we're able to dissolve it and make independent decisions, then let's have a vote on it in a way that we know is legally sound. I have no problem voting on this in an independent way, but under these circumstances, I'm a no because I don't think it's legal. So.
I'll
so
have
I
a
would-
second on that.
Yeah, so I
motion.
would just motion to table this vote until we're able to look into to dissolving the Officers Compensation Commission.
Or similarly, some other way of making this right outside of this mechanism, right?
And all I can say is,
And
again,
I think that may be the only way to do that, but
And we can make their pay retroactive to,
Yeah.
to December.
Yeah.
If we come back and, decide to do it.
If this was legitimately decided back then, the pay should be retroactive. If we're going to make the change now because we want to, then then it shouldn't necessarily be retroactive.
So if Joe's point was if, and Patrick, I don't know the answer to this. But if Joe's point is go back to all these committee members, and if they would support the idea that it was part of the motion, which was not in the record, right? But it was part of the motion. If that's legal, I would say then fine. But if it's not, I mean, the motion is a written motion. I mean, I understand the distinction now. I was missing that point.
I would say I'm in favor of tabling this. I think two parts. One, if we were going to be asked to make a decision today using the compensation commission, I would not be 100% comfortable voting in favor of it.
Mhm.
What would make me more comfortable is, as John pointed out, if we have a legal or a recommendation that yes, if the intent was on that meeting, that their rates be adjusted accordingly. And we've got, that's corroborated, however the fancy word is in legal terms, by the other members of the commission, then I'd feel much more confident voting in that.
but that's essentially the same mechanism. You're just asking for more voices.
That's correct,
And I
yes.
can do that.
Yeah.
And essentially what I've tried to provide is the documentation of support of what was decided and the legal opinion that you can legally do this because you're voting on the decision, not when it was documented.
I get it, Patrick, but let me, optics for me. The testimony we have are the two people who will benefit from getting a raise, and the one person who has been held responsible for this thing being botched. The one person who's been held responsible for this being botched, I actually don't think at fault. I think Coleman Legal Group is the one who should own the majority of the responsibility on here. But be that as it may, the testimony of the three people who would benefit the most from us doing this is not, that's not a good place for us to be put in. So I'd like to hear from the other people if we're going to be asked to vote on this as it is. Part two, if we do decide that the compensation commission is something we can get rid of and that's the direction we decide to go, I'm interested in learning more about that option, to be sure. So
I think getting rid of the compensation commission is a really bad idea. We created it for a reason. I'd like to go back there and look at that, why we created it. I mean, it was for a really good reason why we created it. So
Okay.
I'm opposed to getting rid of the compensation commission totally, so.
Okay.
I think there's a motion on the table to table this. Are we ready to vote on that?
One last thing. I'd just like to say thank you to Patrick for bringing this because it's a kind of a complicated issue. So thank you for putting it on here and creating the conversation.
It also puts those two electeds in a really bad spot.
Yeah, and we're not,
This is what we have all said, we support them. And so it's not of their choosing, their fault for being here.
No.
We just got to figure out how to fix this.
They've
somehow.
been very patient too. So I think, whatever we decide here today, we need to keep it moving and get it cleaned up because this has been dragging on too long already. So
and just to clarify my comments too, in no way do I think they're not entitled to this or that this didn't happen or they're making it up. I just don't think that they're the best witnesses for their own protection in this matter.
agreed.
I don't want to put them in an awkward spot.
So can I ask a clarifying question with regard to tabling this? Am I being asked to report back with testimony from the other people that were in that room? And then also some information on the background history of the Compensation Commission and what the legal legal
Like to Phil.
mechanism to change that is?
Maybe to Phil's point too, like why. it
Yeah,
was-
yeah, that's what I said, the background and
we said
history.
My addition is, because this is just me, everyone else might have a different perspective. I don't think for me, you getting everyone else's thoughts from the Officers Compensation Commission is going to change my particular vote on it. I definitely want to operate by something in writing that can be shown to to everybody, because that's how government has always worked. That's how we interpret our decisions. What I would like to know is if there's any other thing that you haven't fleshed out yet that you've shared, legally speaking, that would allow us to take a vote to approve this without it in writing. Instead of just saying, I remember that, that's what our intent was. I would like that to be more fleshed out legally for my perspective.
And I think it would be helpful to, hopefully they exist, but I would like to see the minutes.
There are, as far as I know,
No.
there are no minutes. And so really the record is this legal opinion, which
Okay.
I have no idea what the source for that is in terms of how those votes were made either. So,
Right, so then it's understanding our state statute
yeah,
of,
which,
of how we are supposed to interpret and how we're supposed to make our votes.
Yep.
That's what I would like to base my vote on.
okay.
We could have a written opinion by corporate counsel is what you'd like.
Yes, and understanding not just his own opinion, but looking at how we're supposed to be voting. Something that comes from Officers Compensation Commission, can we ever take a vote on something, on, again, what I just
Yeah.
said? I want to make sure that we're doing it legally and by.
Yeah, and I did ask
can.
that question.
We've had for years. I'm pretty sure we can.
As to the process, and we are in kind of uncharted territory, and that's why we're doing this by resolution.
Okay.
It's recognizing, you know, what happened, what transpired, and what the law says regarding this issue, or for better words, what it doesn't say.
Right.
So,
You know, we had a chair and county legal in the room and no minutes were kept. You know, that's a failure. So we have to make sure that never happens again.
Patrick, can I add one thing? I know you're being tasked with a lot of things on this, but could we also look at, is there a way obviously, you know, looking at the compensation committee and its long-term future is maybe a longer-term discussion, getting more testimony to what was thought to have happened is good. I'm in the same boat as Commissioner Miedema. That's really not determinative for me, you know, whether there's two more sign-offs. But is there another mechanism where we can affect these changes, right? That's outside of this or the abolishment, right? Because that seems a long-term discussion. This one I'm not comfortable with, but is there a way that we can get those pay increases outside of those two?
are you thinking of something in particular?
I don't know. Like, could we do a
By
bonus,
motion,
right?
a
Could we
bonus,
could we just do a bonus? Is
Mhm.
that gonna, does the state law give us that ability, right? Because if we could, you know, today, guys, you know, so it's not, you know, I want you to know that I think we are on board with this, but we want to make sure we're doing it the way we all feel comfortable, right? So can we just do a one-time?
I don't
Bonus.
believe that we can, Doug.
Yeah, we
Or-
probably can't, but can we at least look at that?
Partly
possibility?
because when the county gave out bonuses during COVID and they gave out like $5,000 per employee,
Mhm.
they were prohibited from giving any additional compensation to commissioners
Right.
because by the statute,
I
everything.
think you're
had to
probably going to
go-
be right, but at least let's
Yeah.
explore it, because I would feel very comfortable with that if it were, you know, a vehicle that we could take advantage of.
From a procedure, can we get this on the next Board of Commissioners meeting agenda? Is it that quick so it could still be done this year? And
Between now and 2 weeks from now?
yeah,
a week.
Last, because that's.
That's a little-
Or yeah, it's next,
Yeah.
it might be a tall order, especially if I'm being asked to get some testimony.
well, let's see what we can do. I'd love to get it wrapped up in 2025 and not drag it into 26.
Well, and I think someone said we can always make it retroactive to January 1 as well.
So
We're going to make something retroactive here. It's going to
I
happen.
don't know what the legal authority would be, case precedent. When there's an ambiguity or an omission in a contract that the parties intended to put in there, the courts look at the document itself on the express terms first. That's the first level of analysis a judge would make, right? What does the terms say? And then if the parties have disagreements, right? Was it a mutual mistake? Was it a unilateral mistake? The courts will interpret those differently. So maybe there's something in the law, in the case law, where there's no minutes to address this issue, that there's another mechanism if all the parties agree that there's been a mutual mistake, right? that you can fix minutes that or
Right.
agendas that didn't get put in the minutes. Maybe there's something in there. So it's not just a legal opinion, but it's based on a precedent, right? Maybe there's something in there that could help us. I don't know.
All right, well, we have a motion to table this in front of us. Roll call. I don't think we need to do a roll call. Would you like to do a roll call?
No.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Table passes.
Motion to table passes. We're gonna work on seeing if we can get something in.
No pressure. No
Tomorrow,
pressure.
All right, number 5, here we go. All right. Ottawa County Water Supply System Refunding Bonds, Series 2026. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the resolution to authorize the issuance of Ottawa County Water Supply System Refunding Bonds, Series 2026, not to exceed $18,960,000. And I believe we have Pat with us this morning.
So moved.
Support.
The floor is yours, sir. Thank you for being patient.
Sure, no problem. Good afternoon. So today I'm here to ask for hopefully an easy request here is to save some money for our water ratepayers. We provide bonding for the city of Wyoming water system. In 2007, we had a $38 million bond issue. We refunded that in 2015, and we have an opportunity again to refund that. The savings will be just under $1 million projected. Net present value is about $880,000. From a legal perspective, we have to demonstrate at least 3% savings, and we're at about 5% savings right now with how it's looking. So our finance advisor, Steve Burke from MCMI, is on the line as well if there are any questions. Laura Bassett is our bond attorney from Dickinson Wright. So both of them are available if needed. But it's a pretty straightforward proposition. It'll save about $23 per million gallons, or about 138,500 a year as a collective. So it's not a great amount of savings, but we certainly don't want to turn down any savings.
Can you explain what refunding means?
It's similar to refinancing your mortgage. So we have a bond that was a 25-year bond, and that certain of those years have different interest rates. And so the later dates had a 5% coupon. And so with today's interest, there's an opportunity for us to have some savings. And so it's essentially reselling bonds at a lower interest rate, similar to a mortgage.
We did a number of these in the city of Grand Haven, 2015 and 2016, because the rates had dropped. So that
Right.
2015 one makes sense to me. Am I to interpret that the rates are lower now than they were in 2015 or more?
No, not
how does that-
necessarily. No, that's a great question. When we refinanced it in 2015, the way that they structured it, they put most of the savings on the front end of the restructured debt. And so the last part of the restructured debt had 5% coupons. Earlier on, we had 3% coupons. And so if you look at the whole system or the whole issue, it was savings.
Got it.
That
Yep.
gave us an opportunity for this refunding.
But, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that common that we separate them like that, Patrick, or not? Is
The-
it common that you separate them that like you do like you just talked about?
Every year we have there's a different coupon for those series of bonds, or that grouping of bonds. They're in $5,000 increments, and so they'll group them together. We pay that principal in a given year, and then when we sell the bonds, that's part of, in this case, it was a 25-year issue. There'd be different coupons. There'd be different values that we pay for,
Okay.
and that ends up driving our interest rate.
Good to
Morning,
know.
morning, Pat. Thanks for being here.
Sure, no
Um,
problem.
Karen, you've been sitting here all morning. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about this one, or you're good with the coverage? Okay, great.
And was there somebody online that wanted to?
They're available if you have any questions, our finance advisor, our bond counsel.
Okay. Thank you to them for taking the time to be
Sure.
available to us. Yeah. All right, if we're ready to vote, let's go to Rachel.
Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Moss.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Pat. Yep. On to number 6, the Franklin Street parking lot. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the 10-year lease agreement with the City of Grand Haven for the county's smaller, currently excess surface parking lot on the south side of Franklin Street in the City of Grand Haven, known as Lot 24.
So moved.
Support.
Looking over to our commissioner from Grand Haven to see if he
Oh.
wanted to add a little context, because I know this has been
I
something.
can
that
give you a little
Yeah, I-
context on that. So, Grand Haven's got a new hotel coming in. They're really excited about it. This will be their first downtown lodging. But if you've been to downtown Grand Haven, you know what luxury parking is. So they have some parking needs to meet this development and reached out to the county to see if we'd be willing to partner with them on some of our parking resources. And this lot, which I think has 69 spaces, is really underutilized. The county doesn't need it. Most of the parking that goes into the court either uses the spaces that are right out adjacent to or across the street. So what's happening is this is really more of a neighborhood use lot. People that live nearby are kind of using it for overflow. So to help Grand Haven out, our partners in Grand Haven, we're looking at entering a 10-year lease with them. They would share 50% of the revenues that they get from Marriott to use this with the county. The county would still plow it, we would still weed it, we would still take care of the landscaping and such. The city will take care of potholes and restriping and things like that. They're gonna put gates up at the city's expense to keep the public out for that reason. And they're also gonna monitor our other lots to make sure the people that are parking overnight in that lot don't creep into our lot. So the city will enforce that for us. It's a 90-day get out of jail-free clause in this, so if things change, but I think this is an opportunity where we can step in and help them out.
I think you, hit the nail on the head. And the lot for the county has by and large been empty. And as you pointed out, I shouldn't say empty. It's technically used, as you said, by locals.
Yeah.
Often you'll see an RV parked there or
Yeah.
a boat parked there. And from an enforcement issue, I think it's great that you got commitments from the city of Grand Haven to help us enforce at no cost to the county, the parking in the other
They'll put
lots.
signs up, no overnight parking, things like that.
That's very beneficial. So that's great.
All right. Rachel.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel.
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 7, cost allocation plan services. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners a 5-year contract with MGT Impact Solutions LLC for cost allocation plan services at a total cost of $91,585.
So moved.
Support.
Do we have anyone here, or Mr. Waterman, do you want
Do
to?
you wanna
Karen?
take this one?
All right. Thank you, Karen.
Good afternoon. So this is our service to do our cost plans, both our IT and our administrative overhead cost plans. I believe you approved the current year at your September meeting. So our contract is up. They approve them per the federal guidelines. They prepare the plans for the county annually. It's a regular contract. We went out for bid, 2 responses. We've used both firms. This time we picked MGT, which is the contract before you. The biggest reason for that is because there are 2 ways you can prepare an annual contract, and there's another way that the federal government allows to charge grants, and that is called a de minimis charge, where you can basically charge a percentage, it used to be 10, they moved the percentage up to, I think, 15 recently. And so we wanted to do an analysis and look at the difference between the regular annual plan and the straight percentage. And so MGT has more experience than the other firm in doing that kind of analysis. And so that is why this contract period, that pricing and that analysis seemed better with MGT. So we chose them.
Karen, can you kind of explain what a cost allocation plan is, just for everybody?
Sure. So there is fiscal services, human resources, facilities, administration, treasury, all our internal corporation council are all considered internal service departments. Costs, not internal service funds, but we're administrative departments that provide support, and allowable charges exist where we provide support to other departments. And so they call it fully loaded. So basically, human resources supports fiscal services supports human resources. And so when we support each other, they fully load, they double. Don't look at the plan, it'll make you dizzy, but they basically share our costs with each other. And then they use allocation methods. So your number of FTEs, your total budget, and they allocate out our charges to other departments or cost centers. And that is how they determine the amount that they charge other departments. So you may have heard, I think we talked about it at Community Action with regard to budget, Community Action Agency, or you might have heard Dr. Bashir's, I think, made statements about it. You may have heard departments talk about their costs that they get charged. So that's administrative cost plan. IT is an internal service support fund. So they are set up as a fund, and they also do a similar plan, but it supports their operation. And so it's a separate plan and charge departments to support their operation, but set up uniquely, whereas the others are departments in the general fund, and it's just a way to allocate some costs back to the general fund.
Okay. Rachel.
Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel, Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples, Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. And finally, number 8, FY 26 budget adjustments. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the FY 2026 budget adjustments per the attached schedule.
So moved.
Support.
Take it, Joe.
Support.
Any discussion on this one? If not, Rachel.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey, Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now we're moving on to committee reports. We have Cheryl with us this morning. Good morning.
Hello again. So this month's report is actually 2 months worth, October and November, because I wasn't able to give the report last month. So you'll see double of the graphs and everything. One thing that I did want to point out is this is something tricky that I have to do at the beginning of every fiscal year when I do this one particular graph. It's the line graph that's general fund monthly interest yield. You'll see that the one for October shows 2 months worth. And it has month 1 and month 2. Month 1 is actually September. 30 in month 2 is October, just in case you're wondering why there's 2 months there in the October. Let's see. And I wanted to bring your attention to the weekly market commentary by Meter, where they talk about during the government shutdown, one of the Bureau of Labor Statistics was not released, telling us about the jobs and layoffs and everything. But they used ADP report measuring that. I just thought that was very interesting how they take that into account, while they're people, how many people are employed in the U.S. and they say over 26 million U.S. employees, about 167 million people are employed in the U.S. And it shows private sector employment has declined in 3 of the past 4 months. Interest rates are generally correlated with job growth, and both have been declining recently. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't see any. Yeah, thank you very much, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that takes us on to discussion items. And during our meeting this morning, I wanted to share this with those that are out there, but there was discussion on several social media platforms about a suicide that took place in the parking lot of Bullet Hole. And that it was John Anderson. And I reached out to John Anderson during this meeting, and he responded right away. So John is with us, but he did confirm that an employee of the Bullet Hole did commit suicide this morning in their parking lot. So for those of us that know John and desire to support him through this, let's do that. But I wanted to make you aware of that right now.
Perhaps we could have a moment of prayer after sharing like that. Would that be okay to break precedence? Would you be okay if I led that?
Please do.
Okay. Good morning, Lord. As you're already well aware of different things that take place in our community, I just want to lift up before you right now the news that Commissioner Bonema shared. Lord, I just lift up before you employees and family members that are affected in this situation. I ask that you would draw near to them. And Lord, I just thank you for being the one that we can go to in all times. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Is there anything more that we'd like to discuss for Finance Administration today? All right. Well, public comment is back. So if there's anyone that would like to speak, now's your chance. Be quiet today. All right. Nobody online. So we will adjourn today. Thank you very much.
Appointment